Welcome to the director's commentary of Course of a Hare, my short film. Let's just get right into it. So, this is the first tape. If you haven't seen it by itself, go check it out. This is going to be sort of spoilers. So this first tape, the movement restraint test, was essentially the first idea I had for the first sort of thing that I wrote down about it, was the idea for this tape. And then it goes obviously directly into the opening credits. Now, this song, which was an early demo that was released of a Nirvana song called Sappy, was actually what I listened to when I came up with the idea for this. I came up with almost the entire story while just listening to this song. And this opening sequence was essentially just an attempt to make it seem separated from maybe the more just separate YouTube videos of tapes. These are, a very specific, it's a short film. It's a cohesive piece that is just this one video. And so obviously there's the title, The Course of a Hare, which is essentially when a dog or a fox, you're using them to hunt rabbits. This character of Michael Obit is, he's pretty generic. He was going to have a little more depth originally. It was going to be a feature film originally, as most of my projects start out as, and then obviously it didn't become one. But I think this is another thing that sort of separates it from the other FNAF VHS stuff. There's this sort of live action element of, it's not just these tapes that you're finding on YouTube. It's somebody is showing them to you. There's this found footage element to it. Something I do want to say about the movie, about the short film, is I actually wrote the script for this before it all blew up. I just watched the Squimpus tapes, and it was before they'd blown up, before people were sort of copying them all over the place and making their own versions. And I really wanted to make a found footage film in that sort of old VHS tape style. And so there's a lot of things in here that are very reminiscent of other VHS tape videos, but I had come up with this whole idea before any of the blew up. This was a thing I remember telling my friends about a long time ago, just when the Squimpus tapes was first come out. This TV is a real TV that I have in my room. I watched Blair Witch Project on it. That's essentially all I've watched on it besides like home movies. It is sitting in the exact same place behind me on my floor. So this one, the Price Powell Toys Natural Moppets. Originally the name Natural Moppets was going to be so much bigger and more prominent, but again, had to cut a lot of stuff out. Originally I was going to call it Real Dolls because I didn't realize those were a thing, but not at all the same type of product. All of this stuff is actual old footage of old doll stuff, including the baby crying. I had that idea, and then I was like, wait, there's an actual old, 1970s doll that's its selling point was that it cried? And there was. And Your Real Best Friend is also a slogan from a real toy company that makes, weird robotic toys, so I figured that would be a fun little Easter egg, because I thought it sounded creepy. I made this one essentially with the exact intent of the vine that goes, what would you do if there was a child right in front of you? And then there's the guy who goes and smacks the kid. And then I was like, I gotta make one of these. It also has lore importance, as we'll see later, but I just thought it would be funny, just to sort of make that type of advertisement for one of these. Next tape, Price Powell Toys. I wanted to give a really authentic, old, sort of look, opening for a toy company. Price Powell is based off of, obviously, Fisher-Price. And this is sort of based off of old, even though this is supposed to be 90s, this thing is based off of early 2000s videos, the blue background, the 3D spinning text. I think it came out pretty good. I also feel like this music reminds me very much of I think I got this from some shocker screamer video where it ends with like a big scream, yell, jump scare at the end, and it's like some horrible image. But I thought this honestly captures that feeling of like something bad is going to happen at the end. And obviously it does, but it's not just a screamer, it's that. And so here, it's a little bit weird because all of it is filmed at night, so it doesn't make it seem like these are supposed to be filmed on separate days, but that's what they're supposed to be. That's why my clothes change. But it's sort of weird because there was originally a couple scenes that were like in the day, and then, oh, this is the next day. But I ended up having to cut those out because they didn't really add anything to the story. But now it just seems like I changed clothes all on the same night. But this is supposed to take place over 2 days. I was thinking about not having the like taking down my Five Nights at Freddy's posters in the background because it's just, it seems too on the nose. But I thought it'd be a fun Easter egg, and I didn't want to take my posters down. Moving on to the next tape. I guess here's whatever the next one is. Here we go. WFV Local. This is the one that I took the most inspiration from something else besides Squimpus. This one is very, it was originally intended to be like a news broadcast, so someone standing in front of like the news area and being like, recently these things have happened. But after watching Local 58, I thought this sounded like I liked the idea of doing this way better. And I think this is one of my favorite ones, even though it's super simple, super short. It's just text on the screen. But this part, like, I felt really proud of that moment of just no music, and there you see the Man in Black's face. So here we have the break-in scene. It's funny, I didn't get another actor for this. Every single person that you see in this, besides the face that comes out, which is, I'll talk about later, it's an AI-generated face. That is me setting the camera down, as if I'm getting under the bed, and then jumping over the camera, and then walking in. So that is sort of, all the characters again are me, every single one of them. And I wanted to keep this sort of drawn out and awkward and hard to see, because I felt like as long as it gave the impression that someone had broken and taken a bag, it was doing its job, because that seems more real than something super cinematic. So here it is. Here's me talking about, so last time you see my character alive. Yeah, it's, I mean, the whole movie, or the whole short film, is pretty simple, you know? The story is pretty simple. It's, murder, make human child go in, doll come out, and it just sort of, and then, like, that's essentially it. That's essentially what the story is. And then this guy, like, haunted doll, he find it, and then the guy kill him because he found out. Like, that's pretty simple. Originally, there was going to be a whole subplot about how the Man in Black was actually dead, and it was the company Price Powell Toys coming after this character for trying to reveal this big scandal that they tried to cover up. The toy company, at least in my mind, obviously it's up for interpretation, but in my mind when I was writing it, the toy company didn't do anything. It was someone that the toy company hired. They hired this guy to make their toys, and then he sort of obviously did this. Here's some just stock footage. This is the reason I put the disclaimer at the beginning, because that is, as far as I know, that's real surgery footage from like a stock website. This is the one that I think looks the best. Just the spotlight, the darkness, how the shadow hits. The shadow's kind of hitting different, honestly. This was originally going to be voice acted, but again, it's just one of those things that, like, I don't have the time or the resources to get all these voice actors. I really like the way this glitch effect looked. It's a lot of different effects going on at once that I had to apply to that. And the sort of zoom out from the static. Quite proud of that. originally this was going to go into a sequence where my character did sort of like a ghost, like, hunter's EVP session with the doll, but I realized it wasn't add anything and it was just sort of making it longer. So it sort of just cut right to the end. He saw too much. Look at him now. And that's me just pulling myself across the ground. You've seen it too. You're next. And that, obviously, is just a fun little thing to spook the audience. Now, this guy's face was just one of the faces from thispersondoesnotexist.com, I think. And that essentially randomly uses an AI to generate a face from someone that doesn't exist. And I thought that was important to not make it be an actual guy. And I also wanted that at the end because that little warning at the end, because it's sort of the whole "you're next" thing almost sounds like I'm threatening the audience, and I didn't want a lawsuit or something. Anyway, that is the short film. This has kind of been a rambly director's commentary. I've never done one of these before, but I think I gave some interesting insight, I hope. So I will see you all in my next video.